Hello friends, been a while. I haven't made a video in quite a bit of time, and I've been focusing mostly on producing music, making new content, and promoting my music. Recently one of my tracks has hit 100,000 streams on Spotify, and I know it's not a huge number of streams, but to me it's a big deal. I'm a one-man show, I do everything by myself. So it feels like an accomplishment. And interesting thing about this track is that the growth has been 100% organic. There is no big playlists promoting it. The Spotify algorithm just sort of picked it up about a month after its release, and it has been riding the wave of Discover Weekly ever since, I think, 7 months or so. And to me it means that people like this track, people connect with it, and it means that I've done something right. So to celebrate this 100,000 streams, I decided to make a video to show what the track is made of, some of the decisions that I made when I was producing and mixing it. And yeah, let's jump into Reason and check it out. Alright, I'm using Reason. This is Reason 12, but I don't want people to get discouraged by the fact that I'm using Reason, not Ableton Live or Cubase or Fruity Loops. All of the techniques that I show here, all of the decisions that I made are 100% compatible with any DAW. Learn your tools. They're just that. If you know what you're doing, if you understand why you're doing it, then you can use any DAW to make music. Obviously, the backbone of the track is the arpeggio. It is played by the complex synth, Complex 1. Sounds like this. If we turn off the effects, this is actually an existing preset, which is called April Showers, and I modified the preset a little bit, and I added a lot of automation. So you can see that there is automation on frequency cutoff, there is automation on resonance, there's also automation on oscillator mix. I'm adding an oscillator during the breakdown, and there's also a small amount of automation on the attack. There is a less attack in the beginning of the track. And this is one of the keys to make arpeggios not boring and repetitive. Obviously the notes that are being played are the same, but because various parameters of the sound are being automated, it doesn't get repetitive, and it doesn't get boring. The actual arpeggio is played by Reason players, the dual arpeggio. We are in the key of G flat minor. And for the effects, I have some saturation. Then there is a little bit of compression, fast compression, with quite slow release. But this is since this is 1178, even the slow release is quite fast. Then I have two echoes going into each other. I love Dubstation. This is one of my favorite echoes. And then Reason's own The Echo. Love it. For some reason, I decided that I needed some dynamic processing as well on certain frequencies. The thing about this sound is that it plays all in low mids, because you can see even even when the frequency, even when the cutoff frequency is fully open, it still stays in this domain. And this is a frequency range which is occupied by many different instruments. And I guess this is why I also added a little bit of dynamic EQ here to suppress some of the louder frequencies. There's a little bit stereo equalization here just to make it a bit more wider. Limiting, especially when the filter is being open, it gets a bit louder, so this is why I have a limiter here. Some SUV and sidechaining. This sidechain comes from the kick. And this sidechain comes from something else. I'm not actually sure where it's coming from. It's been a while since I opened this. Yeah, it's actually coming from the Hats group. We'll look at this later. But for some reason I thought it would be nice to sidechain this from Hats. Interesting. It's funny to open these projects sometimes, the old ones. The actual track was written almost a year ago. And the last time I opened this project must have been in August 2023. And now we're in May 2024. So it's been a while. So yes, this is the main sort of theme of the track. And this is also the part that I started with. This is when I knew that I had a track. I had nothing else, literally just this arpeggio, and I already knew this would be a track. This is how it goes. Obviously, having just one arpeggio would get boring. So to support the arpeggio, I have a couple of leads. This is the main lead, which is played by a piano. This is Reason's own process pianos, very nice. And the lead is actually very simple because the arpeggio is fast moving. It sets the rhythm, it sets the groove. So in contrast to the arpeggio, the piano plays very, very mellow part, which is very sort of around these 4 notes, like this. And then D. Right, so very, very simple melody, but with the fast-moving arpeggio, it actually works very well. And then we have other supporting instruments for this piano. So this is the piano part, and then we have a couple of instruments that are duplicating this melody so that it gets more attack and gets more volume. This is Dune. Right. And there is another one. I think this is with a sharp attack. Yep. So together they sound like this. You can already feel the groove and the vibe. You don't even need the drums. And in the second drop, I have even more. I have another instrument coming in very quietly, but it also adds a little bit of ambience and volume to the... Yeah, you can barely hear it. Bring it down again. So yeah, this is the lead. Let's take a look at the piano processing. Nothing really major happening here. Again, SUV. SUV is a must-have on piano, as far as I'm concerned. More compression. Also very fast, so it just swallows the picks a little bit, and then I have a black hole. Black hole with a fairly big reverb and actually quite a bit of reverb mixed into the insert channel. We can listen to it without effects. Yeah, it doesn't sound very different. Yeah, you just get more ambience because of the reverb. Now that we're done with the lead instruments, let's take a look at the other melodic content of the track. And I have a couple of pads here. One of them is this sample that I got from Loop Cloud. I cut it up and transposed it so that it fits the harmony. It sounds like this. And it actually plays quite an important part in the arrangement, because you can very clearly hear it. So it's this sound, and then we have a pad which plays in the breakdown and a little bit in the beginning. Let's take a look at this. This is Vital, and this preset was actually made by Signs of Life by Chris. He was celebrating his 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he had a stream where he created a bunch of pad sounds and sequences, and he gave that sample pack away for free to everyone that was on the stream. So thank you, Chris. This is one of the presets, and it sounds like this. There's a sidechain, but there is no. But the sidechain is off now because we're in the break. There's no kick. Has some EQ, of course, to get rid of the low, and also a little bit deep here around 2.8K. I think this is what this was done because it was conflicting with the arpeggio and the piano. Okay, so then we can take a look at the bass. See, I left the drums for the end. The bass is made of three parts. One part was Behringer Model D. So you can see it's audio recording, and that's what you hear as this sustained bass part. It has a lot of plugins on it. I have no idea what I was doing here, but apparently I thought that I needed all of those plugins. It sounds like this by itself. Nothing special, very typical Moogish bass. Some EQ, very weird. More EQ. Removing the lows a little bit. Then I have a limiter that I don't think this limiter even hits the ceiling, but it's there. So yeah, there you have it. This is a sidechain from the kick, and this is a sidechain from other bass parts that we'll look in later. This is a kilohertz filter that is used to filter out bass in some parts. And last but not least, I have a reverb on my bass. And it's been about a year and a half since I started experimenting with the reverb on my bass parts, because when you start producing, you hear this almost as a taboo that you're not supposed to have any reverb on your low end, on your bass, because of the stereo conflicts and stuff, bass conflicts. But actually, I started experimenting, and I know that a lot of producers use reverb on the bass, and it's not such a bad idea, actually, to be honest. I really like the sound. There is some gain automation here because I think at some point I needed to control the volume. Yeah, bass volume. Here it is. I lower it in the breakdown and also towards the end. Besides this bass pad, we have, let's leave it on. We have this part. Yeah, this is played by Behringer Neutron, so it's also audio. I guess this is sort of like a mid bass in this case, with some delay and also sidechain. And then the last one is this guy. It's a rhythmic sort of, it goes like this throughout the track and gives this extra pulsation. Here we can see the sidechain I was referring to. This is sidechain from the mid bass. And also from the kick, of course. Alright, this was the bass. Nothing terribly complex here. The mid bass is equalized, of course, to remove the lows. And this guy, I think also, yeah, it also has a high pass filter on it. Now let's check out the drums. All of these are drums, like all of this. There's a lot of drums here, and not all of them are playing at the same time, but there's a lot of drums. You can see like clap, 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 clap. How many claps does one need? And then there's also a lot of hi-hats, and I sum the hi-hats first into a bus called metal, and then it goes into a bus that is called hats, and then it goes into drum bus. Some interesting mix choices here. Let's listen to the drum bus by itself in the drop. Right. In the second drop, there's also a congo. Yeah, so very typical house beat with some organic feel to it, because this is organic house. So the drum bus, I tend to do very similar processing, but not always using the same plugins. So this time I had 1178. As you can see, I use this compressor quite a lot. I love it. Very or fairly slow attack. There's no slow attack on 1178, but it's quite slow for this compressor and very fast release. So it reacts or mostly on the kick, and it just glues a little bit the whole thing. Then we have some tape saturation from Reason, some more saturation from Decapitator, and Wavebreaker. This is actually a free limiter, which I found to be really nice on the drum bus. It does its job very well. It's fairly transparent, and I mean, it's free. So in this case, it just takes off some peaks from the kick and makes the drum bus more suited for the final limiting, so that we can get more volume out of this track. Kick came from Syntact, the Electron Syntact. Um, some very weird equalization on it. I removed some transients, a little bit of attack, and some multiband. Actually, the compressor is off, so it's just saturating the cake a little bit. This EQ is only used for its shelf in some of the transitions, so this is not for equalization purposes, but for arrangement purposes. Okay, so now then we have a low tom, which is very low both frequency-wise and volume-wise. It's just there for additional pulse, the very low end. Can hardly hear it. See? Yeah, it's very, very, very quiet. But on sub systems, you can actually hear this pulsation. Let's move to claps. Where are my claps? Claps are here. So claps is a combination of several samples, both single one-shots and also samples from Digitact. You can hear a hi-hat bleeding as well. For claps, I just do some saturation, FOB filter. This is an interesting saturation from bedroom producers. Or, yeah, bedroom producers, yeah, blog. That gives you both tube and tape saturation. Very low settings. Again, some compression. Quite aggressive. And transient shaper. Removing some transients. This is a clipper. It's just doing a little bit of a soft clipping on the claps so that it doesn't pick on the drum bus. Let's look at the hats. So first, all the hats go to the bus called metal. This is actually doing some volume shaping for the hats. It's on the 3/8 time, and it sort of shortens every other note a little bit. So without it sounds like this, and with it just gives a little bit extra detail, a little bit of variation on the hat. Then I have chorus from Arturia. I love this thing. I use it all the time. Raum from Native Instruments. Actually, ever since I purchased Complete 14, I've been pretty obsessed with all these Native Instruments little devices like Byte, Choral, Dirt, Flare, etc. They're all really cool in their own way. And then in the end of the chain, I'm adding some air through mag EQ. And then we go straight into heads bus, which does SUF on the heads, just in case. Compression, again, 1178. It gives you can feel that it strengthens the groove. And sidechain. Very low setting on sidechain, but nonetheless. Because without the sidechain, it's just like very robotic. But with the sidechain, it starts breathing. In and out. I have a lot of different textures. I love adding different Foley sounds, field recording textures in the background, especially in the drops. You can hear it in many of my tracks. And this one is not an exception. If we go to If we go to the break, for example, you can hear all these textures, right? Most of the stuff is from Loop Cloud, just samples, long samples, short samples. I often have some texture going, like city ambience or rain ambience or forest ambience, depending on the track. And then some short percussion sounds that go straight into the shimmer or massive Valhalla supermassive reverb. And it's a small detail, but it just adds this extra detail to the track, which makes the track ultimately more interesting, in my opinion. Oh yeah, I forgot one more melodic element here, which is actually quite important. This guy. This was played by Behringer Pro 1. I keep looking in that direction when I mention my hardware synths because I have a rack of synths standing right there. So yeah, very simple sound, but quite an important part, because this is like if you think about the arpeggio as the main backbone, and you think about the main piano lead as the main theme, then this is the B theme of the track, right? It plays on the parts where the piano is not playing. A lot of delay here, a lot of reverb. If without effects, it sounds like this. There is obviously some effects on the send. Yeah. Here, by the way, you also hear the same combination, the Dubstation 2 with the echo, and then going into Arturia plate with a lot of drive. And sidechain, of course. By the way, for these delays, I actually have automation. I'm automating the mix and automating the mix on both of them, echo and Dubstation. You can see it's being automated. And this is just another thing that I like doing very often. All of these small details, they add up to ultimately more interesting sounding track, in my opinion. Another interesting thing here is this couple of very special buses. One bus called ARP sidechain and one called melodic sum. So if we look at the ARP sidechain bus, this bus sums all the instruments of the mix that are supposed to be sidechained by the arpeggio, by the main arpeggio. And we can find the part where arpeggio is playing. Yeah, you can hear it. I'm not sure what the bass pad is doing here, but apparently it made it into this bus. And the second bus I mentioned was this melodic sum, and it's here I'm actually taking all of the melodic content of the track. So the leads, the arpeggio, everything, and I am putting them through a low pass filter here. And I'm doing this as an experiment, I guess, because I think this was the first time I did it, to make sure that nothing here actually conflicts with the heads. So all I want to hear in this frequency range are the heads. So this is why I have this very sort of mellow filter for all of the melodic content, which could potentially make it into the higher frequency range, but I don't want it to be there. And this gives more space to the hi-hats, to the shakers, to the claps, if they're in that frequency range by any chance. I don't remember exactly where I read about this, but yeah, all of the melodic content goes into one bus, and then you just low pass it a little bit at 7K. Okay, the conversation about the mix wouldn't be complete without mentioning the send effects. I think this track uses 7 of them, and on the send effects I have small room, hole using Valhalla Vintage, plate, shimmer, Valhalla Supermassive, I love it. And here I have a chorus plugin from Overload. Really nice chorus, by the way. It's an emulation of Roland Dimension D. Then we have tape echo from Arturia, and that's it. As you can see, most of the sound effects they have compressor on the end of the chain, and this is a side chain from the kick. I have a special track that I use for side chaining. It's very simple sound, very short high transient sound, which is going throughout the track, and I'm taking its direct output and putting it into the splitter, and then basically I'm just duplicating the signal across all racks so that I can just pull down the sidechain signal whenever I need it. And here in the send section, every compressor gets the input from the sidechain, so that when the track is playing, all of the sidechain effects are also, all of the send effects, are also sidechained to the groove of the track, to the kick, so that everything breathes in with the same pulse. Okay, let's look at the mastering. I do my own mastering. I'm almost afraid to open this because I have no idea what's there. I don't remember. Wow. Okay. Let's listen to it without the master, by the way. There's obviously quite a bit of volume difference. But there's also a fair amount of saturation on the master bus. So I use this black box always. I love this plugin for saturation on the master bus. I also sometimes use it on the bus channels, but it's almost always one of the first plugins on my master. Then we have this Soma IQ, and I actually prefer it to the Pultec equalization. Something about it just vibes with me. I find it easier to get to sound better. Afterwards, I have dynamic processing, multiband compressor, which is, I don't think it's doing a whole lot. Yeah, it's very light compression, but you can hear the difference. Yeah, I usually use pop filters, multiband compressor, but I believe I got this plugin for free, or was it very, very high discount on it? And since I acquired it, I actually like it quite a bit. The only problem with it is that it is actually quite hungry, CPU hungry, so be careful with it. After the multiband compression, I have a optic compressor, which does hardly anything. The discrete compressor is offline. It's not used. Very little compression, very slow, sort of think I'm using this compressor mostly for its sound, because it has this hardware emulation of the transformers here as a real thing, and it actually sounds quite nice. So there isn't really much compression happening at this stage. I guess I thought I needed some dip in 125 hertz range. I have no idea what this is doing here. I think this was a new toy that I acquired at this time, so it's adding some volume. SUF on the master bus. Very low settings, albeit, but still. And then we're entering sort of technical mastering stage. I increase the transients because when we're going into clipping stage, the transients get lost sometimes. So I proactively increase the transients so that when they get cut by the clippers, it doesn't sound too bad. Then I have a soft clipper from Newfoundland Audio, adding more saturation. And then I have a hard clipper, which is a pre-limiter stage, where I try to prepare the signal in the best possible way for limiting. And finally we have a Pro L2, which is my favorite limiter, has always been. It's not really working very hard. It's very consistent limiting here. There's no like... So I could actually easily push it further, but I don't think this track needs more volume. I think it sounds fine. I think the integrated volume on it is -8 LUFS, something like this, so it's plenty enough. Yeah, this is the track. This is we have looked at the main elements. We looked at the pads. We looked at the bass. We looked at the drums, and we looked at the master section. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope you find it useful. Check out this track on Spotify. I will leave a link down in the description. Also take a look at the video of my live performance for this track. And until next time, take care.